Okay, picture this. It's starting long. Your quarterback drops back, starts to scramble, looking for an open receiver, and you start to hear this sound. And as he cocks back to throw the ball, and uses knowing your heart of hearts, he said, "Believe it!" A magnificent scene, right? Well, that's today's topic. Inspired by the One Piece video I did on NBA Superstars. Today we're going to be talking about NFL quarterbacks and their Naruto comparison. And first we're going to start off with the AFC today. And remember to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Road to 1,000. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get right into it. And one more quick thing before we really get into it. Some of these explanations is going to be longer because I gotta like walk you through it, and some of them are just going to be short because some of these quarterbacks are just Now let's get into it. First one we're starting off with Patrick Mahomes. His Naruto comparison is Hashirama Senju, both leaders of their respective generation, innovators if you will. Hashirama first to align the clans together, for get them all as one collective group, and Patrick Mahomes was the first to really innovate the quarterback position. It went from just you gotta win, you gotta have a pocket passer, but then Patrick Mahomes changed the mode. You can move out the pocket, still throw it down the field, do all them crazy throws he does. You know Patrick Mahomes is. Also, there's another character on this list that Patrick Mahomes dominates annually, just like how Hashirama dominated his rival. We'll get into that though. Next, we're gonna talk about Bo Nick. Now, his Naruto comparison is Shino. Now, both of them, now this might be a little stretch, but both of them are they're mature for their age group. Shino was calm, collected, always had a clear mind, never got too ahead of himself, always was aware, had great self-awareness. And Bo Nick, he played 20 years in college football. He had 2 kids and a wife before he even entered the NFL combine. There's 2 guys ahead of their time. Moving on, Justin Herbert. His Naruto comparison, Kakashi. 2 widely loved figures. Quiet as kept, not really winning too much. Like Kakashi, he beat Zabuza. Didn't really have any more notable wins for the entirety of part 1. Part 2, he helped wound Deidara, helped pull it off Hidan and Kakuzu, and lost the pain. But it's not a Kakashi video. But to bring that back to Herbert, yes, Herbert is beloved. Yes, I'm definitely part of his fan club, but it's like I'm also a realist. Like he doesn't win too much. He's been in the league 4 or 5 years yet to win a playoff game. You can't even win a playoff game. Baker Mayfield won a playoff game. He won 2, in fact, and you can't win 1. It's not a good look, but love you, Herbert. Moving on to the last quarterback in the AFC West, newly acquired Geno Smith. His comparison, Tamari. Both come from rough upbringings and are relatively successful or relatively decent in their craft. Tamari isn't the best ninja in the world, but she isn't the worst. Coming from the poverty of the Sand Village, it would have been easy for her to just fall to the background, but she made a name for herself. Just like Geno coming into the poverty franchise that is the Jets and able to claw his way back into the league to become a starter again, to become a cool guy, cool quarterback type shit. Nothing to really write home about, like nothing to really fear as a contender, but he's a cool guy. Black Derek Carr. The next quarterback we're going to talk about, Joe Burrow. In his comparison, part 1 league, not part 2, part 1 league, where outside of 2-3 good moments, they both haven't really done much. Lee had to fight against Gaara and fighting Kimimaru were great moments for his character, but ultimately they both ended up in Lee not winning. Similar to Joe Burrow, he had that magical Super Bowl run that ended in him not winning. Then he had that AFC championship run against the Chiefs where he ended up not winning. Then he had this past year where he had, in my opinion, he was the MVP or at least the offensive player of the year type of year, and he ended up missing the playoffs. Both do great things, both do hype things, and still end up losing the fight or losing the game. But it's still cool, guys. Love them both. Next, we're going to move on to Lamar Jackson. His Naruto comparison, Kabuto. Now walk with me this one. Kabuto, similar to Lamar Jackson, they both showed up and we didn't really think too much of them. Lamar's rookie season, we were like, alright, he's cool, he's fun to watch. Kabuto, before we knew he was with Orochimaru, we were like, hey, that guy's pretty cool. Got the glasses, he looked like he knows some things. Then as the story or as the years passed, they took a major jump out of nowhere. I mean, Kabuto was just in the tuning exam. Now he's fighting with one of the legendary Sani, then Lamar Jackson, in just his second year. After having an okay first year, became an MVP in the second year in the league. Then the seasons or the story passes along again. Then they make another big jump. Whoa, Kabuto has saves mode. Whoa, Lamar Jackson have an MVP season and he has Derrick Henry now, and both still end up losing. Similar to like the Rock Lee and the Joe Burrow comparison. No matter what they do, they lose. No matter how great the season they had, no matter what power they obtained, in Kabuto and Lee's case, they end up losing. Perfect comparison. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the Browns, their quarterback situation. Now, originally I was going to do Deshaun Watson's comparison, but with the recent news of the Browns recently acquiring the real alpha dog Kenny Pickett, it's clear who the starting QB is. And I would push the door here, but I pray to every God that the Browns don't ruin his career. So we're going with Kenny. His Naruto comparison is Kurone. Now, I'm going to keep this short and simple. You thank you that guy till that guy pulls up. Kurone thought she was one of them top genjutsu users until she had to prove it. Then she never entered another fight again. Kenny Pickett thought he was an NFL quarterback till he had to do NFL quarterback things and got his ass shipped to Cleveland. Simple. Next, we're going to talk about the Steelers quarterback situation. Sadly, it's looking like it's going to be Mason Rudolph. And his comparison, Kiba. But unlike Kiba, Mason Rudolph probably doesn't talk that much shit. Wait, I take that back. He probably does talk as much shit as Kiba. But both of them, we just know in our hearts of hearts, they're not going to be nothing. I mean, they can have quote cool moment like Mason Rudolph winning those 3-4 games, then ultimately losing to the Bills, then going to Tennessee and them being the worst team in the NFL. Then in Kiba's case, did Kiba have any cool moments? Next, we're going to be moving on to the AFC South. First, we're going to be talking about CJ Stroud. His Naruto comparison, Neji. Both had big showings to themselves into the series or into the league. CJ Stroud, rookie year, took the Texans to the playoffs. Neji, his first showing, he beat up the genius of his own clan. Then shortly after, both were relegated to the background. The attention on them, it just slowly waned off to the fact that we sometimes forget they exist. Next, we're going to be talking about the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. His Naruto comparison, Hinata, both were golden prodigies, or golden prospects who were too good to fail, who had all the aspects to be great, but never really did too much. I know Trevor Lawrence won that playoff game, but outside of that, Then also, and when making this, I didn't plan for CJ Stroud to be Neji and Trevor Lawrence to be Hinata. It just worked out the way, but that's even better. The Jags thought they had the one, similar to how the Hyuga main branch thought they had the best Hyuga until Neji appeared, and then they were regulated to being number 2 in their clan. And CJ Stroud showed up and regulated the Jags to being number 2 in their division. Next, we're going to move on to the Titans quarterback, Cam Ward. I know he's not officially drafted yet, or at the time of this recording, he's not officially drafted yet, but we all know Cam Ward is going to the Texans. And his Naruto comparison, that one random ninja that ran out, that was the first one to fight Madara, just set up for failure. And I don't really know the name of that random ninja, but I just know no matter what jitsu he knew at the time, no matter what technique, no matter how he threw his kunai, he wasn't going to win that fight. And similar to Cam Ward, no matter what he does, he can have a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow type season, MVP type season in his rookie year, and they probably don't even get to 6-7 wins. One due to the fact that he has probably one of the top 5 worst O-lines in the league. I know they just paid Dan Moore, but trust me, coming from a Steelers fan, Dan Moore is not an upgrade. And they probably have one of the worst receiving rooms in the entire league. Next, we're going to move on to the Colts, the last team in the AFC South. And Richardson, his comparison is Killer B. This one is just too good to pass up, not just because they're black, but if you didn't know, Richardson is an avid rapper. Killer B, you should know, is an avid rapper. One of them actually makes good music though. Next, we're going to move on to the last division we're going to talk about today, the AFC East. First, we're going to start off with Josh Allen. I know I alluded to this earlier with the Patrick Mahomes comparison, but Josh Allen, Madara. And simply put, they both can dominate the entirety of their league or their world, except for that one person. Madara put fear into every other village, hidden village in the entirety of his era, but he can never beat Hashirama. Josh Allen beat the Lions, beat the 49ers, beat the Ravens, probably beat the Eagles, beat the Dolphins, beat the Chargers, beat the Broncos, beat the Texans, everybody but that 1-5 in red in Kansas City. Just that both dominant but have that one bane to their existence that just keeps them in check. Next, Justin Fields. His Naruto comparison is Sakura. The thing that these two have in common is both are very useful, but nobody wants to accept it. Like Sakura probably is one of the top 10 strongest ninja. No, not top 10. Sakura is in fact not useless, but nobody wants to accept it, which I understand because I didn't accept it for the longest. But be watching it, I'm like, hey, okay, she does some pretty cool things. And same for Justin Fields. I'm not saying he's the top 10 quarterback in the league, but I'm saying he's not a bottom 15 quarterback. He's around that range. In Quiet's Cup in Pittsburgh, he was 4-2 as a starting quarterback with only one or two real receiving threats in George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. And his time in Chicago, in the first couple of years of his Chicago tenure, he didn't have any weapons. Then he got weapons, but ultimately he was still held back by a horrible head coach. I believe that now he's in the right system. He would now start to show himself as a competent quarterback than the league thinks he is. Moving on, Drake May. His Naruto comparison, a young third Hokage, not third Hokage fighting Orochimaru, but when he took the baton from the second Hokage. Both full of potential at the time. Drake May full of potential. He just gotta execute on it. In the third, he ended up being the third Hokage for a reason. And both also have amazing predecessors. Drake May is 2 quarterbacks removed from the greatest quarterback to ever play this game in Tom Brady. And the third Hokage was 2 Hokages removed from the best shinobi to ever live at the time. And that's the last quarterback we're going to be discussing today, Tua Tagovailoa. His Naruto comparison, Deidara. Simply put, both of them never learned their lesson. In Tua's case, no matter how many times he gets a concussion, he always leads head first. And for Deidara's case, you would think after like the first 2 times he ran into the Sharingan, he would think, let me stop challenging the Sharingan. But no, his pride got in the way. Similar to Tua, how his pride got in the way. Where he could have just let him get the pick six, or he could have let another teammate tackle him, but he had to go in head first himself, just asking to be heard again. In Deidara's case, Itachi completely embarrassed him. Kakashi with his Sharingan took his arm, and he still had the nerve to challenge Sasuke, expecting a different result. Both of them just boneheads who deserve what they get. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Leave a comment on what you thought of my Naruto comparisons. Also hit that subscribe button for more content. But other than that, have a blessed one.